Good morning, and it's lovely to be with you, although I'm in a completely different part of the country. I'm in Coulsdon, staying with friends, and it's nice to see you this morning, and we're thinking again about how to approach life in general and how there's so much wisdom in the Bible teaching us, if we want to listen to it, just how to follow God more closely. And I've dipped in this morning into Proverbs chapter 2, which is talking about receiving the words. It says, "My son, if you receive my words and treasure up my commandments with you, making your ear attentive to wisdom and inclining your heart to understanding. Yea, if you cry out for insight and raise your voice for understanding, if you seek it like silver and search for it as for hidden treasures, then you will understand the fear of the Lord and find the knowledge of God." And when I read that, it made me immediately think about those two parables that Jesus taught about the buried treasure in the field and the pearl of great price, where he said that the kingdom of heaven was like looking for something very precious and finding it and then selling everything you have in order to gain the treasure that you've found. And this is what salvation is all about. And this is what searching for wisdom is all about. It needs diligence. It needs a determination. It needs a wholehearted approach. You know, it's not easy pickings. It's not just lying there on the top of the ground to be found. If you seek it like silver, well, you don't find silver lying on the top of the ground. You have to dig for it and mine it. And if you search for it as for hidden treasures, you have to look for them, you know. And sometimes the answer to our problems and our quandaries and how we should follow the Lord are hidden. They're not immediately obvious. They're not staring you in the face, as it were. Sometimes we don't get a straight, easy answer. We have to search for it. And this is why it's so important that we're continually reading the Word of God and we're regularly going to different parts of the Scriptures, because there is wisdom contained in the stories of the people in the Bible and how they lived their lives and how they approached the problems that came across their path and what they did. And sometimes you can obviously see that they did the wrong thing, or that what they did brought consequences they weren't expecting. And we can learn from that. It's not necessary for us to learn everything in the school of hard knocks. We can learn just simply by observing and thinking about the way some of the people in the Bible did things and the decisions they made and the actions they took, and whether or not before they did the things that they did, they sought the Lord. Because as we said the other day, the fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge, beginning of wisdom. And we have to start by asking God about everything. I know it must seem that I'm saying the same thing over and over again, but it is such a fundamental idea that actually when we're following God, we are not in first place in our lives. We are not the most important person to consider. We have to first consider what God is asking us to do and what God's way of doing things is. So is this thought here for today, that just as difficult as it is to find silver or hidden treasure, sometimes it's difficult to find, and it requires diligence, it requires hard work, and it requires seeking God, maybe for days, maybe even for weeks, and deciding not to make decisions and act on things until we know what is God's way of thinking about it, what God's thoughts are. And we thought the other day, didn't we, about that passage in Isaiah that says, "My thoughts are not your thoughts." Because God often approaches things in a completely different way to the way that we would do it. And we need his wisdom, not our wisdom. It's his wisdom that we have to find and that we need to follow. So that's a lovely thought, isn't it? Thinking about the things of God as being worth a great deal, like treasure is worth a great deal, and it's worth pursuing, because when we find it, it really, really is fulfilling and really blesses us. So have a great day today. God bless you, and I'll see you again tomorrow. Bye-bye.